Hey everyone, wanted to do a video here to explain this rebranding that's coming up. I've been working quite a bit on it and just thought it might be easier to kind of talk it out, to kind of give some of the context for why. So where to begin? It probably made sense to plan this out in advance, but I think the essence of it is I resisted this kind of framing around making rules matter for a long time. About 2 years ago, there was a series of kind of, eureka moments where a lot of these different ideas were connected to each other, building on kind of my experience with holacracy, but connecting to my previous work and kind of counseling and communication, my academic work and leadership development. Just a lot of different threads kind of coming together, and it all kind of lit up. And from that time, I've been trying to figure out kind of how to package it, how to sell it, how to story it, how to deliver it, how to get people interested, and things like that. And Substack was one of the ways that I was doing that. But again, as I was feeling both this overwhelming kind of creative urge, and I've been writing stuff. I would say, I've probably published about 1/10 of everything that I've written over the past, even just 2 years, and I have a lot more even before that. So I'm just sitting on a lot of information. I think information that would be helpful, interesting, even if it's wrong, potentially, right, to stimulate some conversation. And my focus then was trying to figure out kind of how to pitch it and kind of sell it. And that left me in this kind of limbo state where I was like, on one hand, I really just wanted to kind of be myself and be out there. I'm kind of academically, theoretically, philosophically minded. I like talking about ideas and concepts, but I like them to be pragmatic and be applied too. So I've been trying to find ways to make some of the more conceptual bits, more practical, while at the same time really wanting to kind of articulate and shape and deliver kind of the fuller sense of the different interrelated parts. And really, I had watched this documentary on Muhammad Ali on YouTube. I don't know why I was going down that rabbit trail once, kind of watching a bunch of boxing videos. And anyway, the particular video that I was watching kind of sat with me over the couple of days. And what really struck me was, in Muhammad Ali's case, how at different kind of pivotal points in his life and career, he kind of went counter to kind of the advice at the time, even advice of people who were close to him, whether that was to change his name as he was just kind of getting really popular, his stance on the Vietnam War, how outspoken he was. He was just kind of himself, even if those around him or in the industries that he was involved in, would kind of say this is not how things kind of work well. You shouldn't do it this way. He did it that way anyway, definitely paid the price for that, but ultimately it seems like the world kind of came around to understanding, who he was and what he stood for. And something about that kind of resonated in the sense of like I recognized, or it seems to me like here I was feeling this impulse, this kind of clear direction for what I kind of felt like I wanted to do. And then I was spinning my wheels, doing a lot of effort to try to figure out how to go out there and kind of grab people's attention and convince them this was important and worth paying attention to. Versus this perspective kind of suddenly kind of crystallized a bunch of stuff. And I was like, what am I doing? I know this already from a kind of a trusted source, purpose perspective, a values perspective. What do I really want to do and what do I want to talk about and how do I want to say it? I've always known that. I just didn't think people would really pay that much attention to it. So that's a lot of what this rebranding is about. It's about kind of no longer taking that approach, no longer trying that strategy, and instead leaning into, who I am and how I want to talk about this stuff. Trusting that's the better play to make, even if it doesn't work ultimately. What does that ultimately even mean? But just that trusting, that those that are interested or drawn to it will be able to find me if and this kind of framework, if it resonates with them. and kind of, by being clearer about my stance and the perspective, that makes it easier for those people to find me. Kind of, this is a short version. So that's broad strokes, kind of the reason for why this rebrand. It's not for a particularly strategic business reason. I know it seems like everybody has like a model or a framework, their own approach nowadays. And, there is certain, of course, wisdom in being able to kind of package it as a thing. My struggles, again, were like I should build it off of holacracy and in the self-management kind of space. While I think that again, strategically makes sense, that feels too constraining. The framework that I'm kind of trying to promote is much broader than that, much more applicable in different fields, education, communication, parenting, leadership more broadly, things like that. And so just kind of restricting it to kind of the new work, self-management space, when I felt like this framework is equally applicable in a conventional management hierarchy. The same distinctions and same kind of ways of thinking through issues apply. You end up with kind of different answers, of course, but just targeting it towards a certain kind of subset of people who are interested in new ways of organizing just seemed like it might make strategic sense, but it didn't feel like that's where I wanted to restrict myself to. So yeah, the rebranding is not particularly strategic in that sense. It is intended to be, for those that have been following my Substack thus far, what it's always been, which is, kind of in that space loosely or generally, but then also dipping into a lot of other related areas. The focus will maybe at times be a little bit more theoretical or academically oriented. I've tried to also integrate that in my previous writings as well. Try to do a good job of tagging that content when it comes. I'll be able to also have information that's linked. There's a website. I'll put that in this post as well, where some information might be hosted and then kind of cross-linked into some of the new Substack newsletter articles, so that it's not doesn't give you a reader a huge long article to read, but has hyperlinks in it so you can access more information if you wish. So yeah, that's the basic short version of the story for why the rebranding. It just kind of makes sense once I kind of realized, and I'd had that kind of phrase, making rules matter, in my head for a long, long time. Kind of mirrors a bit of like David Allen's getting things done, I suppose. I realized that afterwards. But yeah, it kind of resonates for me. We'll see. I know people have certain reactions to the word rules. I've got an article on addressing that thing. I've got some good, interesting research, I think. Anyway, yeah, that's the story of the rebrand. Let me know what you think. Appreciate all the supporters, especially all the paid subscribers, voluntarily provides some financial support. Thank you so much. Your encouragement has really kept me kind of going and persisting with trying to write on Substack so consistently. Thank you too for all the subscribers. I haven't focused very much on trying to grow the channel very intentionally. Hired some people to try to help me with that. It hasn't worked out particularly great. So I know it's just not a thing I'm really going to be doing too well myself. I tend to be my purpose is focused on trying to write and articulate kind of the ideas. And we'll see. Hopefully it'll grow and evolve from there. Let me know what you think. Thanks for sticking with me so far. And hope you remain subscribers going into this new, kind of branding approach to the whole framework. Thanks so much. Bye.